Hi, this is Lana Marconi for Eye on Life. Today is February 19th, and I'm with a brilliant woman, Susan Collins. She's actually in my film, The Resonance, which I released last year in November 2015. It is now 2016, and we're here today because we actually reshot some of the filmage for the movie. So the new director's cut of the film will be out soon, so stay tuned for that. It's very exciting, some new information, and there's some changes that needed to happen are actually in the film. But I wanted to spend a few moments with Susan because I'd like you to get to know Susan. She's a management consultant, but she's also a professional dowser. What is dowsing?
Well, dowsing is the detection and transformation of energy. I call myself a personal management consultant because that sounds like a normal job. In the years I called myself a professional dowser, people didn't know what that was. Dowsing is the detection and transformation of energy with the use of tools, L-rods, pendulums, and that kind of thing. So with people I don't know, I tell them that I'm a water dowser, which is true. I do well location, so if you've got a farm or a rural property, I can go out with my sticks and find where to draw water. So most people accept that as a realistic or viable profession because everybody's got an uncle, who used to, go out and find the water. I also think it's one of the most honorable jobs to have is to find water for people. It goes back to ancient times. And if you can find water, without water, there's no life. So I do find water.
Now, do you douse whenever you have a decision to make?
I douse 24/7, pretty much.
24/7? How do you douse 24/7?
I douse while I'm sleeping through lucid dreaming. So before I go to sleep at night, I ask for useful information that I will be able to understand and integrate into my practice so that I will wake up in the morning, I'm always full of good ideas.
So, okay, tell us a little bit about your practice. You actually help people. You have patients?
Right. Well, I don't call them patients. I work with people, and the reason I don't call them patients, I call them clients, is because if you call somebody a patient and that they have a disease or a problem, then they are always a patient with a problem. So I refer to people as clients and they have issues. And what we seek to do, and these could be physical, mental, spiritual issues. People normally come to me when they've exhausted every other avenue. They've gone to their medical doctors, they've tried everything, and nothing works. An example of that, a friend of mine had a retinal detachment where the eye kind of detaches, the retina detaches. He had 3 surgeries. And after about a year, he had 10% vision, and they said, you'll never be any better, these doctors told him. So I said, that's the perfect time for me to come in. So when everything else is, it's nice to come in earlier than that, but it was the perfect time for me to prove something, I guess. So we talked about brain elasticity, neuroplasticity, and I was encouraging him and helping him train his brain to be able to see through that viscous membrane of the eyeball, for example. But it was a matter of him understanding or believing that's possible. I asked him to cover his good eye and then to look around and to tell me what he could see with his bad eye. So he looked to the left, he only had about 10%. Looked around, he only had about 10%. But then he looked across the table at me, and as he looked at me, my face came into focus. So we had proved that his brain had that neuroplasticity that could rewire his vision. Now, for me, miracles are every day.
Well, I like how you think. It's very refreshing because I think like that too, in the sense, first of all, I believe heavily in miracles.
Yeah.
You have to believe in miracles. What else is there really to believe in? And also, I like how you talk about your patients, your clients not being patients, because I tell people the same thing. Like, if you're an alcoholic, don't declare that you are an alcoholic. You are experiencing an addiction. That's how you want to phrase it. You need to learn to use language very responsibly because words have vibration, and you don't want to lock yourself into the box of an addict. You're just having that experience because really you are the I am presence. that creates everything. So just quickly, how did you get into dowsing? And because you're a businesswoman as well, so how do you mix the two?
Well, I started off as an artist. That was my first passion, and then I couldn't make a living as an artist, so I got into business. I developed prototype internet systems way back in the 70s, so I was highly trained. The universe gave me such great marketing and sales skills. I already had the graphic skills and the writing skills, so it's as if the universe gave me all the skills I needed and then made me quite sick. So when I was 29, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. My hands were crippled up. My hands stayed claws for 23 years. This is a long time. And I went, through the regular medical practice, go to the first doctor I went to wanted to cut open my hands. And I thought, surely there's another way to do that. So that was the 80s. So I went to homeopathy and the traditional things that were available in the 80s, and nothing worked. I had 2 kids at the time, 2 little kids, plus the rest of my immune system shut down. I became intolerant to salicylate, which is an inert substance, and to gluten. So it was like nothing, my life was just going down the toilet. What motivated me was my children, honestly. Like, I didn't want to be the mom on the couch that, that's how they'd go, oh yeah, mom's on the couch, get her a cup of coffee or something. So I was highly motivated to do whatever it took. And I went to the library, I got a book, and it talked about dowsing, and I cut a branch off a tree, and I walked across my yard, and the branch moved when I walked over my septic system. And that was my aha moment, where I realized I was sensitive, because I had always been clairsentient. From the time I was little, I always knew there were things around me. But in those days, nobody talked about this kind of thing. And today, if you tell the doctor your child hears voices or something, they'll put them on drugs and say your child is crazy or you're crazy. So I know I can say this, my children both came in gifted, and I had that real dilemma, like, do I tell the doctor what my child is experiencing? It's what I was experiencing. So I learned how to work with people through working with my children. So my children have been a huge motivator for me. They've grown up very nicely, I must say.
So how did you heal yourself?
How did I heal myself? It was a process. So I found dowsing, which is the detection and transformation of energy. There are 3 broad categories of energy. They are earth energies, environmental energies, and psychic energies. So the earth energies are things like gravitational types of things. There are energies in the earth, and I won't bore you with technical terms, but there are places that are toxic to humans. In addition, there are environmental energies. This would be the Wi-Fi, the electricity. Many things in our homes and buildings are toxic. Food, for example. So that's environmental stuff. And then the psychic energies, that's where I spend most of my time now, is working with psychic energy, because there are toxic thought forms. We have thought patterns. We yearn for things. And with the dowsing, we go back into the subconscious of the person and wherever we need to go to determine what is the underlying root cause of the ailment. So if it's a stomach ache, for example, maybe the underlying root cause is physical, so that would be easy. It's a sandwich I ate. It could be emotional. There's so much upset. I'm so sad about something, my stomach hurts. It could be a mental source. It could be different types of sources. Once we find the root cause of the symptom, then we seek a remedy for it.
So did you use dowsing to find the root cause of your symptom?
Exactly. So thank you for bringing me back to that. So for me, I joined the Canadian Society of Dowsers. I learned how to dowse from them, and that's working with a pendulum or with L rods or with bobbers. And one of the most important parts of dowsing is protecting yourself, because when you start, for me, everything has consciousness. So we have consciousness, the plants have consciousness, the microphone, everything has consciousness. And using a dowsing tool, we can dialogue with the consciousness. So an example of an earth energy in a home that might be causing an illness is a vortex energy. So it could be there's a naturally occurring earth energy that creates a vortex system, which is overloading the individual's system. So if you're sleeping right there, you're going to be sick. So in the old days, they would say, oh, move the bed. That's old school dowsing. in modern dowsing, we move the energy.
Oh, how do you do that, Susan?
We move the way I do this, and this is what I teach in my workshops, and I travel all over the world. I'm in Italy, in the Middle East, and Japan, and Canada, and the U.S.
You have a big tour coming up this year.
A world tour. 2016 is my world tour.
Where are you going?
Well, Italy in March, the Middle East, Kuwait in April, New York in June. I'm at the Alien Conference in Brantford in June as well. I'm a keynote speaker at a conference in July in Santa Cruz, California, and I'm going to be big in Japan this fall. I have a promoter over there that's he wants the. I'm having an appointment. My consultation is at 3 a.m. because that's 5 p.m. Japan time.
Well, congratulations to you for going to be big in Japan. And that's great that you're going to be back at the Alien Cosmic Expo, because that's where I filmed you last year. That's where I met you. And I'm so glad to have met you. You're a wonderful woman with so much light that you're bringing to the world. And thank you for being in the Resonance film. And you can watch Susan in the new version of the Resonance film, soon to be released this year, 2016. For more healthy interviews, please visit my website, drlana.com.